Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you this morning. Hope you had a good day yesterday. Looking forward to a great day today to be able to serve the Lord. And as we walk through the Word of God together this morning, we are in First Chronicles. We're now into a new book, and I want to talk a little bit about Chronicles before we get into these first two chapters. The book of Chronicles is basically a chronological timeline of events that took place. And in the first two chapters, and really more than just the first two chapters, really it's chapters one deals from Adam to Abraham, and from there, chapter two, you have from Abraham to David, and then when you get to chapter three, you have from David until the carrying away of the children of Jerusalem, or the children of Judah, I should say, with Jerusalem being the city. And then after that, you then have the chronological timeline and order of events dealing with each individual son of Jacob. And that leads us up to chapter 8. At the end of chapter 8, chapter 9 then deals with Jerusalem itself and then Saul's family. And then we start getting into the kings, and we learn more about each of the kings of Israel and Judah. So, you may say, well, Pastor, this is one of those times where it's very challenging to be able to read because, what can you really get out of a genealogy? And what I would say to that is you find out little nuggets of information and minute details that can help you to understand what was taking place at that time, or you realize a name that sticks, and it's gone down through history, hundreds of years, and it's still there. And so as we begin into First Chronicles chapter 1, as I said, deals with Adam to Jacob. And actually not Abraham, it deals to Jacob. And so we talk about Abraham, and we talk about his sons, and we talk about Keturah, Abraham's concubine, after Sarah passed away, and the sons that he had there. And it deals with all of these different things. One of the little nuggets that I would give you in chapter 1 would be in verse number 10 of chapter 1. It says, "And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be mighty upon the earth." Of course, we know from the book of Genesis about Nimrod, he was a mighty man. And that name still carries with him. And so one of the things that I've realized in reading this and looking at this is my actions can dictate what my name is. And so, we can use an illustration of that. If I gave the name Adolf, a lot of people you don't see that name used, if you understand what I'm saying. So names mean something. And so it's very important for us to understand that. Yesterday's devotion, I was talking with Brother Burdick and King Josiah. Of course, he told me that's a great name, with that being his name, and how he followed after the Lord. And so that's another illustration that I would use with the genealogies and the names. And so I would say to you, really look at these names and look how they connect, and don't get caught up in just the name. Look at how it connects and what is said about certain individuals, and really try to glean from those things. And as an application, in my mind, the name is important. And so therefore you and I, our name is important. We know that a good name is rather chosen than silver. Having a good name. And so as we look at this in these first two chapters, and as we go further into the book of First Chronicles, all the way till we get into the kings and the details of what they accomplished and what they did, really try to get in and see what's being said about each individual and what's said about names, and maybe go back in a study to during that time period when the Bible talks about them, and kind of it might help you to be able to place things, and God can speak to you through that. So enjoy the genealogies, and don't forget, next week on Monday we will begin to start to pray 3 times a day. National week of prayer and pray like Daniel. And I hope that you're preparing your heart to do that. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning when we walk through the Word of God together.